All right, guys, I got a couple of locks here from Leif in Sweden, and I don't think we've seen anything like this before. Leif says, oh, think pirate chest. So this would be a lock for like a trunk, like an old pirate chest kind of thing. The first one he obviously wants us to see. This is, I guess because it's an unusual mechanism, he just wanted us to have an idea, I guess, what we're getting into. He made a wooden dowel here to act as like the hasp, I guess. So anyway, here we got, here's what we got. A key with weird warding on the back here. There's a hole there, obviously, to fit that center post. So we slide this dude in there. You can line it up, Bill, through the camera. And then it rotates. Now, why do we have the warding on the back? I've always been intrigued by that, and it's going to be difficult to see. I might have to get the lock cam, but I think you can see that that warding lines up with some odd sideways warding on the back there. And if the key were any wider, it wouldn't fit. So very cool. It's not fake. That's the real thing. Anyway, when this dude rotates, it hits the unlock shackle. And again, I think that from the side, if I can get it to focus, you might be able to see that warding inside of there. Anyway, it rotates, and very super strong spring. I'm putting a lot of pressure on this to unlock those, basically push those solid steel locking pawls out of the way. They are their own spring, so you have to put a lot of tension on it, get them to retract so that we can open our chest just like that. And of course, when we let go, they automatically pull back. So very cool mechanism, very simple. Yeah, well, he says the first one is simple, but the second one, not so much. And here's what we got. We're going to have to figure this one out. We do have a key. It's substantially larger than the other one, so I expect the springs in here to be much more powerful. Again, trunk lock. There's a slightly different locking style, but I think pretty much, yeah, we'll be able to pull this cardboard off. He's got it taped and zip tied on here. He did leave the keyway exposed, but it's the same kind of thing. And I can tell you, because I tried it, it doesn't work. This doesn't go down inside of there. And the reason it doesn't is if you take a look, there's a different kind of warding inside of there. So we need a key, and I did take a look in my box and I found three possibilities. This lock is absolutely huge. The key has to be, well, there it is. It has to be just honking, and these are the biggest ones that I have. So what we need is a blade kind of like this one with that little cutout right there to get around that that ring that's welded to the bottom of the lock. Unfortunately, this one is, first of all, I don't have any with a hole in it, so I'll have to drill those. And this doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near big enough. So what I'm going to probably do, I have two. This one will not work because if I cut into there, it'll basically cut the tip off. This might be our best choice right here. So drill it. I won't have to machine that little part or saw it or file it or whatever. And I'm just hoping that there's none of that weird warding on top of that cut. Anyway, that's going to be the deal. If this is too short, and based on the shape of this, it obviously is, I'm probably going to have to braze something onto the bottom of that key. But that's the fun of it. Let's figure out how this thing works and try to make a key that works. All right, again, I might have bit off a little bit more than I bargained for on this guy. That shaft sticks up a lot, which is really unusual. I'm sure it's a security measure. In fact, when I measured that shaft, it's 1.7 inches long, which would be, I guess that's about 45 millimeters. I mean, that's quite a substantial shaft there. So when I drilled this, this is pretty tough steel, first of all. I had to drill this all the way back to exceed that. So I had to go in there I went about 1.85 inches through this guy. Very tough steel. Took a lot longer than I thought. And then I plugged it in a second ago just to make sure it fits. And it does, but it doesn't turn. So what I suspect is that this is not long enough. I'm going to have to file back into this piece just a little bit because I don't believe that the key is bottoming it out in the bottom of this lock. Either that or on the back there's warding that I just can't see and can't anticipate. So let's take the easy solution first, and that would be let's file a groove right in here. Let me put some bluing on there, measure exactly where it is, and cut a groove and see what happens. All right, that's about as deep as I'm going to be able to get it. And two things. There probably is some warding in there. But secondly, when I slide it onto the shaft, it's super loose, a lot of floppiness. But the further down I go, the tighter that gets. It actually pinches right there. And I have to shove it. So I believe that this pin is tapered. So let me enlarge the shaft just a little bit to get around that so that we can fully seat this key. All right, let's see if that worked. That's a lot looser. It looks like it's fully seated now. It's all the way down into the groove, and we are hitting something. So I bet that we're also looking at some warding, just like we had on that other lock. So what I think I'll do, total gamble, is at least on the other lock, on the other key. Let me grab it here. The warding is on the back, and I'm gambling it's on the back as well. So what I'm going to do is grind away that part. So hopefully I can bypass any warding that's in this guy. See if we can get by that. Let's give it a shot. Why not? All right, let's hope we guessed right, because if not, I'll have to make a key from scratch. All right, so that does get around the wording. That's looking good, and I can feel it grabbing, and there we go. There's an open. That tip is chest. If it was a little bit shorter, I don't think it would work, but there you go. It does retract both of those guys. So there you go. Wow. Just out of curiosity, let's see if something else would have worked. This guy, before we went to quite such an elegant solution, I'm wondering if we could have just put a screwdriver in there and moved it. And I think I can feel it. And there you go. Why did we waste 2 hours making a friggin' key when I had this on it? Anyway, there's what you got. Let's look inside, just out of curiosity, see what we got. I'm curious what the mechanism does look like. You know, that's very similar to the other one. Yep, and here we go. Now you can see that ring, and there's actually 2 rings there. So let's look at the key. Let's grab that key and shove it in there. So we had to overcome the length of that shaft, first of all. And then that ring had to fit into the groove to fully seat. And then when that rotates around, if it was too tall, like it clearly was, I didn't have to file it quite that much, but you never know. Anyway, I had to get under that warding, which was on the top, had to rotate around and grab a hold of that shaft like that to get an open. Look at that, man. How cool is that? Let's look at the original key. Yeah, that's kind of what you would expect. We built one, just not this pretty. Okay, so we're getting around the bottom warding. See how it fits in that groove? And then that hole on the top fits into that warding and allows it to rotate. So I basically built a skeleton key. Or we could just use a screwdriver and bypass all of that stuff and wedge them in there like that and get an open. Well, it worked a minute ago. Why isn't it working now? How did I do that? There we go. Slide it at that angle. So it reaches in there like that and pushes everything over. So there you go. Skeleton key. Any pirate chest, just bring a screwdriver. Appreciate your time, guys. Stay safe, stay legal. Leif, thank you for an afternoon's worth of entertainment. Thanks, guys.